Hi guys, welcome back to Chalk and Smile. This is the fourth video in the series where I will answer some of the common questions from British poetry asked in IGNOU. So let's get started. Bring out the imagist element in T.S. Eliot with reference to the Wasteland. T.S. Eliot was born in 1888 and died in 1965, is one of the most celebrated poets of the 20th century, and unka poem The Wasteland is widely considered as a masterpiece in modernist literature. While Eliot's poetic style is often associated with the modernist movement, his work also displays several elements of imagism, which will be discussed by me today in this video. Imagism एक literary movement था that was characterized by its emphasis on the use of precise and evocative images in poetry. The imagists sought to capture the essence of an object or emotion in a few well-chosen words rather than relying on elaborate metaphors or symbolic language. ये emphasis on precise and vivid imagery बहुत evident है in many of the key features of Eliot's poetic style, including his use of concrete language, his attention to detail, and his interest in the everyday and the mundane. One of the most striking features of The Wasteland is its use of concrete and specific language to create a vivid and detailed picture of the world it describes. Eliot's use of concrete language allows him to create a sense of immediacy and realism, as well as a sense of complexity and richness of human experience. For example, in the opening lines of the poem, Eliot writes, April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, starring dull roots with spring rain. Now, in these lines, Eliot uses precise and evocative language and is creating an image of the arrival of spring, which is a mixture of growth and decay. The use of concrete language allows Eliot to create a sense of immediacy and realism, as well as a sense of complexity and richness of human experience. Another key feature of imagism जो कि Eliot के works में देखा गया है is an attention to detail. Eliot's poetry is full of rich and vivid detail, which helps him to create a sense of world he is describing. For example, in the third section of the poem Wasteland, Eliot writes, The river's tent is broken. The last fingers of the leaf clutch and sink into the wet bank. The wind crosses the brown land unheard. The nymphs are departed. In these lines, Eliot uses a precise and evocative detail to create a vivid and striking image of the riverbank in autumn. The use of the detail helps to create a sense of physical world that Eliot is describing, as well as a sense of emotional and psychological landscape of the poem. In addition of his use to concrete language and attention to details, Eliot का poetry also displays an interest in everyday and the mundane, जो कि एक और key feature है of imagism. Eliot's work is full of images of everyday life, such as crowds of people on city streets, sounds of train passing in a distance. These images help to create a sense of world as it's experienced by ordinary people, and they help to ground the more abstract and philosophical theme of the poem in a sense of lived experience. One example of Eliot's interest in everyday can be found in the fifth section of The Wasteland, which is titled What a Thunder Said. In this section, Eliot writes, After the torchlight shed on sweaty faces, after the frosty silence in the gardens, after the agony in stony places, the shouting and the crying prison and palace and reverberation of thunder of spring over distant mountains, he who was living is now dead. We who were living are now dying with little patience. In these lines, Eliot uses a concrete and specific language to create the image of everyday life. The use of language such as torchlight, red on sweaty faces, and frosty silence in the garden creates a sense of immediacy and realism, while the reference of prison and palace, reverberation of thunder, adds a sense of grandeur to the drama of scene. The use of everyday imagery in the section helps to create a sense of world as it is experienced by ordinary people, and it helps to ground the most abstract and philosophical theme of the poem in a sense of lived experiences. इन सारे फीचर्स के अलावा Eliot's work also displays a concern of the use of language and the role of poet in shaping and reflecting the world. In the Wasteland, Eliot experiments with the different poetic forms. In the Wasteland, Eliot experiments with the different poetic forms and style, combining the traditional and the modernist techniques in order to create a sense of fragmentation and dislocation. This fragmentation reflects in the disordered and fragmented nature of the modern world, and it also reflects Eliot's own concern with the role of a poet in shaping and reflecting that world. Overall, we can say T.S. Eliot's Wasteland display करता है several key features of imagism, including its use of concrete and specific language, attention to details, interest in everyday and the mundane, and concerns with the use of language and the role of the poet in shaping and reflecting the world. These elements help to create a sense of immediacy and realism in the poem while also reflecting on Eliot's broader concern with the nature of modernity and the human condition. His work continues to be celebrated for its innovative use of language and the form and in enduring relevance to contemporary literature and culture. So, this was the video, guys. One thing I would like to talk about here is whenever you're talking or mentioning examples from a poem, it's better agar aap examples like few sentences, like few phrases of the poem याद करके अपने आंसर्स में लिखो, because that will actually back up your points and it will also impress the person checking your answer sheet. With this, the video has come to an end. I hope you liked the video and the information that I have provided here will be useful for you. And if it does, then do like and subscribe. Do comment and let me know if you want any different kinds of videos or if any different questions which you have faced, or any different questions which you have seen being asked in your exams, and I'll try to create the videos on that. Thanks for watching.